Hi everyone, so I'm here today at the Disasters Emergency Committee to talk to you a bit about the work they're doing for Nepal. In case you missed it, on April 25th there was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Nepal and it's taken over 7,000 lives, that's what we know so far, and 14,000 people have been injured. But the numbers get much bigger than that when you look at the people who've been displaced and who are homeless. There's 2.8 million people who've been displaced, that's approximately a third of London. If you try and visualise it, it's kind of impossible. Big number to visualise. 800,000 people are still homeless and 320,000 of those are children. So there's loads of work to do. I don't know how much you guys know about the layout of Nepal, but there's lots of areas that are really remote from landslides and from mudslides and things like that. It's really hard for aid workers to get there. So that's been a huge challenge for it. So when the news of the earthquake first came up on Twitter and on the news, there was a real sense of urgency from all of us, right? We all wanted to pitch in, we all wanted to find out ways to help. But it's been 10 days to 2 weeks, and that sense of urgency has kind of fallen off a bit. We're not hearing about it as much in the news. We're not seeing it everywhere. But what we have to remember is that for the people of Nepal, that sense of urgency is going to last for the next 5-10 years as they try to rebuild their lives, as they put schools back together, as they try to reach the remote areas where aid can't get to. And the health system was already really stretched. And so it's hard to imagine the scale of work that needs to be done, but we do have to imagine it because we do have to help out. To give you some idea of the scale of the earthquake, it was the worst earthquake Nepal has experienced in 81 years, so it's a colossal amount of devastation. So how can you help? Well, the Disasters Emergency Committee is actually made up of 13 member agencies, and those are probably charities you will have heard of, charities like Islamic Relief and Save the Children and Oxfam. A lot of those charities were already working in Nepal, so know the area very, very well. But obviously this presents a huge new ream of challenges that they have to tackle. Your help will provide everything from supply kits, blankets and hygiene kits, all the way up to things like emergency hospitals and getting the right people on the ground who can administer the medical help that these people need. As you might have seen on the news this week, a lot of the victims of the Nepal earthquake face crush syndrome, which is basically when your organs can fail. And also separately, there are many instances of head trauma, of broken bones that have had no medical attention and need that attention urgently. So you can donate by going to the DEC website, which is dec.org.uk. But if you're a text to donate sort of person, you can text the word donate to 70000. I'll put that under my face right now. And that donation, of course, with the bill payer's permission, will donate £5 on your next bill. And I know, you're people of the internet, you love PayPal. So if you go to dec.org.uk, that is another option, another way you can donate. To provide some context for what your donation will do, £25, which is basically a meal out with friends, right, will give clean water to 4 families for 1 month. If you're able to donate a bit more, £100 will provide emergency shelter for 5 families. And if you can't raise that much on your own, maybe get together with friends and see how much you can raise. There are so many different statistics and facts and figures I could give you about the people who are affected, but what's important to remember is that these aren't just statistics, these are people, they've lost their whole lives, they've lost their livestock, they've lost their homes, they've lost their memories, and it's an unimaginable scale of loss as well. So I really hope that you join me in supporting the DEC in their work to support the victims of the Nepal earthquake. And now, and you might see these on other channels and on other people's Instagrams and things as well, I'm going to make a mandala as part of an international show of support and solidarity with the Nepalese people. So I'm here now with the CEO of the Disasters Emergency Committee, Sala, and I'm just going to ask you a bit about the work you guys have been doing with the Nepal quake. What are your priorities right now for the DEC on the ground in Nepal?
Yeah, so our member agencies would be now making sure that we prioritise to reach as many people as possible. They've lost their food supplies, they've lost their water supply, they've lost everything. So it is essentially about keeping people safe and helping them survive the next few weeks. So our members will be distributing tents, tarpaulins to make sure that people are kept warm and dry, blankets and mattresses, but also clean water and also water purification tablets. So essentially for the next few days and weeks, it's reaching as many people as possible with that kind of aid. And then obviously we'll open up the distributions to include more longer term support.
And how has the remoteness of some of these locations presented a challenge?
Well, it's been a huge challenge. Nepal is a very beautiful mountainous country with very windy roads, So a lot of those roads have either been completely damaged or are blocked because of the rubble. So trying to manage all that and trying to reach the thousands or the 8 million people that have been affected is a complete challenge. But we are reaching people. Already in the first week of this appeal, our members have reached over 87,000 people with life-saving support such as food, water and shelter.
And a lot of the member agencies have set up inflatable hospitals and remote medical sites. How do they get the medical staff that they need to those places?
Well, this is all about the planning. This earthquake in Nepal had been predicted because of the fault lines below Nepal for many years. So many of our agencies were already in Nepal for many years before that, preparing for this kind of disaster. So hospitals would have been reinforced, schools would have been reinforced to hopefully stop them from crumbling or falling down. And the logistics and the supply lines would have been all pre-planned so that when this happened we would all be in a better place to make sure we reach as many people as possible. But that doesn't mean that it's easy. There's still huge challenges. As I mentioned, the roads are blocked and the airport is finding it difficult to cope.
Okay, and do you see it as being a 5-year, 10-year challenge?
Well, sadly what the earthquake destroyed in 60 seconds is going to take many, many years to rebuild. We will certainly be working there for a good few years to come. Our programmes will be funding our member agencies for at least 3 years, but I imagine that agencies will be working in Nepal for decades to come to rebuild the damage that has been caused.
The difficulty with a disaster like Nepal is that it's massive. It's so big that none of us individually can get on top of it. The idea that whole communities have been obliterated, sometimes leaving one father, one mother, one child, families devastated, no survivors, one survivor sometimes. And you think of the scale of the need, and yet the reporting of what's happening there doesn't keep up with the need. And as a result, we're terribly apt to forget. In fact, it's almost too painful to think that these are humans like us who have homes, have love, and suddenly, this terrible thing.
And what can we do to kind of keep up that human aspect in the forefront of our minds when we think about disasters like this?
Well, it's actually very easy for us because we can use the social network and we can keep people posted, and I think people are reachable and definitely responding. But we just have to keep it going because, we were amazing with Haiti, the largest sum ever raised virtually, and yet it was a country nobody knew anything much about. Here's Nepal, a country people know a little bit more about because of Everest. And we've got to beat Haiti. We've actually got to do this. We've got to lift this beyond anything anybody's ever seen. This is the greatest need any of us have been challenged with in recent times.
And we're here today at the Disasters Emergency Committee. And can you talk a bit about the DEC's work, and because you're a big supporter of them?
Well, the DEC is an amazing amalgam of the key great agencies in this country, Christian Aid, Oxfam, it's invidious to mention names. Everybody is part of it, all the big charities, and everybody pulls together to use this money as creatively as possible. Actually, each of these great agencies has a particular proclivity. Is very good at water, or is very good at family reconciliation and trying to get them into places to live and all the rest of it. So the whole thing is wonderfully joined up. If anybody ever wanted to talk about joined up relief, joined up aid, DEC is it.
And do you think it's the future of aid relief as well as the present with organisations like this?
It has to be, because I think only by pooling all our efforts, of course we all keep our little territories in terms of how we reach our own communities to raise money, but at the end of the day we have to pull together, work out who's best at what, and then apportion that money that we raise to the best experts.
Great. Well, thank you so much. If you want to support the appeal, go to dec.org.uk. To donate £5 with permission from the bill payer, you can text donate to 70000. Thanks very much, John.
Thank you.